past, people were developing machine learning applications, so it was a more linear process, but still consuming a GPU more in an experimental way. For the past 2 years, we saw the big pop of Gen AI using those huge large language models and training on such big cluster for a long period of time. So we went from the academic research to a more broad use of the Gen AI, suddenly having with a need of huge clusters. We start consuming a lot on the GPUs, causing a big demand on the suppliers that suddenly couldn't palliate that demand. So last year we could see actually the big race of GPU, who can get what and when, and that was determine how we can start a cluster. Now the whole things have switched a little bit because the demand was covered by those vendors. But now we're seeing the cluster are becoming so big and so many of them that the race now it's to find power, capacity, and infrastructure to support all that growth. I will say now this is the new biggest challenge that people need to palliate. The data centers already are consuming between 3 to 4% of the global power around the world, which is already pretty big. Now with the arrival of Gen AI, people are predicted this number to double in the next few years. That's pretty scary. We also start seeing data centers that are actively changing and adapting to be able to support such a big size of clusters that demand difference of rack density power or different cooling. The positive side on the innovation is that also those data centers are being conscious that they need to change and innovate in order to cool down those clusters. So they're looking at innovation technologies such as direct-to-chip liquid cooling, where you have tubes going with a plate directly to the processors and cooling that through a manifold and a closed loop, or such as immersion cooling, which is actually immersing the whole servers into dielectric liquid to consume less power, but very cool, efficient over there. It has different benefits. One of those also is capturing properly the heat and reusing that. So those innovation has a plus and a bonus. Yes, it's helping supporting that growth in the size of clusters and power, but it's also helping the environment by reducing the power consumption, reusing effectively the heat, etc., etc. Entering in the AI world involves big capital investment, whether it's a GPU per hour consumption or storage, specifically for those large language models that require for a long period of time. Over the past 2 years, I have seen two types of consumers, really. The one that I like to call the sporadic on-demand users. Usually it's going to be smaller company, they have a smaller language model with small data sets. They tend to go more on the hyperscaler side because it's quick and easy to access, it's on demand, they will go with short period of training. On the other side is what I like to call the heavy consumers. Over there I saw two types of heavy consumers, whether it's those companies that create those huge large language models and need to train them on tremendous clusters for a long period of time, or what we call the PaaS providers, so platform as a service. Usually it's people that put available some large language models and also provide the compute in the back end for consumers. Those type of people like more private infrastructure as a service consumers such as Hypertec cloud. Why? Because we can provide more flexibility on whatever requirements they might have and also provide a lower cost, which when you dedicate yourself on training a large language model on such a huge size of cluster for a long period of time creates a crucial difference. Gen AI is really growing tremendously, which is actually increasing, like I mentioned, the power consumption in all the data centers around the world. For them, they're having this challenge actually to be able to support and cool those large cluster infrastructures. So specifically now that we're seeing that AI is everywhere, right? In every type of sector, verticals, etc. I believe is crucial that those sustainability practices are kept in mind and starting to be adopted. Few practices you can see here to help minimize environmental impact. You can start by the choice of energy efficient hardware, right? There's also the construction of the data center with advanced cooling systems, plus also data centers that can find power, that are powered by renewable energy. And lastly, at the development level of those large language models, there's a few things that you can do, like optimizing the algorithm or compressing method while you're developing. At Hypertec Cloud, we decided to use actually energy efficient infrastructure as a whole. So that means what? It means the hardware and also the data center we choose with innovative cooling solutions. What we want is trying to reduce the power and water consumption efficiently and capture all the heat generated by those huge large clusters and reuse it in different ways. It could be, as an example, to heat a greenhouse or a neighborhood or whatever innovative solution we can find over there. It's very important for AI companies to integrate those sustainable measures early on to mitigate the environmental impact of Gen AI and what it will create in the future.